Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I want to talk about Dead City and Dwight and whether or not we could actually see him return in Season 3. And I do think it's very, very possible just based off of what Dead City is. And I want to talk about how I think it could happen and what story they could actually give him here that makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I think we see a lot of it in Season 2's trailer. So yeah, I want to get into all that. So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. The Last of Us is premiering in just 2 days from now. I will have a video out tomorrow on The Last of Us Season 2, and from what I have planned here, I have Last of Us videos coming out every single day for the next couple of days here. I think Tuesday, it will be a Dead City video and also a Daredevil full season review. So yeah, besides Tuesday, I will try to have Last of Us videos out like every single day, as much as like The Walking Dead and everything, talking about what we just saw in the episode and also future episodes and whatnot. So yeah, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to also get my Last of Us content, but let's get into this here. So Dwight's return does make a lot of sense to me out of all the characters that have yet to appear on Dead City, because there really can be a lot of characters, right? Like any character from The Walking Dead could show up in Dead City. Like it just makes the most sense. And the reason why I say that is because Daryl Dixon is in like France and I guess technically going to Spain for Season 3. And there's not a lot of characters that can be on that show, but obviously for Dead City, it's very different. Dwight makes the most sense though, because like you could just have any character show up, right? Just for the sake of like, well, we want a returning character. But when you look at all the characters and you really think, which character makes the most sense for what is happening in Maggie and Negan's life right now, what's happening in the story of The Walking Dead Dead City, and can that character add to it and give it much more depth, you know, than it already has? And Dwight really is that character. There's a lot of other characters that I could see potentially showing up here and there, but Dwight just makes so much sense because of obviously his history with Negan, right? And I think we'll actually get a teaser to that in the post-credit scene for The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2's finale, because it just kind of makes a lot of sense to me personally. I think that if you have 2 seasons left, and that is the rumor right now, is that they're about to announce Season 3 and Season 4 for Dead City, and that will be the end. It makes so much sense to have Dwight show up here in the post-credit scene because of that thing that was filmed a couple of months ago. No one really knows what it was about. It seemed like it was Walking Dead related, but it wasn't confirmed. You know, like it could have been a thing for Dwight. Like literally it was something that was filmed in like one day and it was in New York City, and I think that it could really be Dwight related. I don't know what else it would be. Maybe it's not Walking Dead related at all, but the rumors were that it was, right? And then eventually they said that nothing appeared to be like The Walking Dead on there, but obviously we know that The Walking Dead doesn't have to be all like zombies everywhere and all that to feel like The Walking Dead, because there's a lot of places now in The Walking Dead that look pretty normal overall, right? So was that a scene filmed for like a post-credit scene for The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2? Well, I guess the finale and teasing Dwight's return for Season 3 and I guess Season 4. We'll have to wait and see, but I do think that Dwight's return to The Walking Dead could actually happen here. And so let's talk about how this could actually happen. So there's certain parts of the story that we don't know a lot about, like very specific things when it comes to Bruegel, this new character here that is going to have a lot of power in Manhattan, and literally, I guess, will join the Dama and the Croat in terms of turning on power in Manhattan, right? We literally see that with Radio City Music Hall, like turning on, like there's actual electricity in that area of New York City. And is Bruegel with the Dama and the Croat? It seems like they are at first, but are they 2 separate groups that just sort of join together? There's probably going to be a lot of disagreements. And I think that Bruegel might just want to have control overall. And then I think Negan could have issues with that. And then you got to remember, they're going up against New Babylon, right? And the New Babylon Federation is a very massive community and they want more power. They want what Manhattan has in terms of their ability to use walkers as resources for energy and everything. And so they're going to be trying to get all that power. And I think that that's going to be really the start of Season 2 here. Is we're going to see what's happening with Maggie and Negan. We're going to see Bruegel's point of view on things. And then we're going to see New Babylon's point of view on things. And I think it's really going to start off like that, where Maggie is, you know, she's with New Babylon and they're going to New York City. Negan is with Bruegel, and he has to do whatever stuff there. And like Bruegel obviously was saying, like, no mainlander will ever step foot on this island or something like that. Obviously a reference to New Babylon and Maggie, because he probably found out that they were actually there. We see in the trailer actually that they were shooting missiles and stuff at them. So depending on where this goes overall, I know that there's going to be a lot more complexity to the whole thing. It's not going to be as simple as like, one side versus the other. There's going to be a lot of, bad and good on both sides, I do believe. And I don't think that this season is going to end with New Babylon just taking over New York City. Like, I don't believe that's going to happen. I think that Bruegel will be a part of season 3. I don't see that character dying like in season 2 here, especially because he's going to be a really big character. He will be a part of season 3. And I could totally see Maggie and Negan really in an amazing place where they're running New York City or something like that by the end here. And that's where Dwight's story comes in. So Dwight and Sherry at this point, they sort of just went off, and I guess they're trying to survive somewhere. I'm assuming they're most likely, going towards the Sanctuary or Alexandria, somewhere more in that area. I mean, just where they ended their stories, honestly, it's very open-ended. They could have went anywhere. And based off of the time jump from the very end of Fear the Walking Dead to The Walking Dead Dead City, like, they could literally be anywhere. So in terms of trying to get the characters to Dead City or like New York City, like, that's really not going to be an issue at all. They could easily do that. So I could see it where Dwight and Sherry are likely a part of one of these communities. Now, it could be New Babylon. That could definitely be a thing. New Babylon makes a lot of sense, I think, for them. It could be New York City as well. They could be a part of one of the other groups, but I think that that's a little bit too obvious, and Dwight being a part of New Babylon makes a little bit more sense to me. I think that Dwight wants to live a different life than he had before. And I think that joining a community like that, where there's a lot more law and order and everything, I think makes a lot of sense for the character. And I could just see him being very comfortable there, especially since I think that him and Sherry really want to settle down and just like live life and be happy, right? Like they're done with everything like that, right? And I could just see them wanting to settle down and live a good life and just be happy, right? And just enjoy life. And so I could see New Babylon making so much sense for the characters. And Dwight is on a mission where he hears that he has to go search for somebody named Negan because maybe something happened to Pearlie Armstrong and some of the, other people that are from New Babylon, because there's going to be a lot of people from New Babylon that are actually going to be going with them to New York City, right? So if they all go missing, if some people die, I think that New Babylon's going to be like, all right, we need to get a lot of people going over there. We need to figure out what's going on. Like, this is going to be a big battle sort of thing. And I could totally see Dwight being a part of this, especially because if Negan rises in power by the end of this season and Dwight hears about that, that's going to be a big part to the season, I feel like. And I could totally see Dwight, I guess, being the one that learns of this. And he's like, wait, who's running New York City? And then he realizes it's Negan, and then he's just like, oh, I'm not dealing with that, right? But I do think that in the very first episode there, maybe he chooses to deal with it, or maybe the post-credit scene is him on his way because he already decided, yeah, I'm not standing for this. Like, he's not allowed to be in power like that, right? And even though we see Maggie in a different place, maybe Herschel is now with Bruegel or a different group because, he disagrees with his mom in terms of how to handle the whole situation with Negan. And then Dwight joins Herschel, I guess, early on in season 3. And I could just see how this makes sense, that for Dwight's story, basically he has a bounty to take out Negan, and that makes a lot of sense for season 3. Like, that's going to be Dwight's storyline. There's going to be a whole other thing happening, obviously, in New York City. There's going to be whatever they set up this season going into that season, right? Like the Croat, the Dama, maybe one of them dies or both of them dies. Like, there's going to be a lot of savior references. That's really been a big part of Dead City because everything is revolving around Maggie and Negan. Those characters met obviously in the season 6 finale, and just what happened there and everything. It makes perfect sense for Dwight to show up here. And I could just see Dwight showing up in season 3. It's almost too perfect. And like, that's the one thing about this that is frustrating. Dwight's story should not be over. Like, I understand bringing him to Fear the Walking Dead and you focus on like a whole other thing for him. And I don't know, I honestly didn't like Dwight's story, or at least some aspects to his story on Fear the Walking Dead, but I have a lot of issues with Fear the Walking Dead in general. It has nothing to do with Dwight and Sherry. It has to do with really the writing and the show running for that show, because every character on that show was pretty much ruined, I believe, in season 7 and 8, like, especially season 8, like, not ruined where it's like you can't ever like bring those characters back and they can't ever be amazing again. Like, obviously they can with amazing writing and all of that, but it's just, that wasn't the best place to end that story. And I just think Dwight has so much like that's just been so unresolved from the All Out War arc. Like, he just literally left. Like, that was the way his story ended, was Daryl told him to leave, and he just left. Like, there was nothing there in terms of Negan's reaction to Dwight, you know, betraying him. There wasn't a scene between both of them afterwards. There is just a lot of stuff there that I'm like, I want to see them talking about that. I really want to see, you know, just some sort of closure on a lot of that. And I think Dwight is the perfect character to bring back here. And so I believe, or at least it's a theory that I have right now, that Dead City Season 2's post-credit scene, like after the finale, is likely going to be Dwight, and it's going to be confirmation that he's going to be there in Season 3. And the reason why I believe that is because if you have Austin Emilio a part of Season 3, like, he's going to be filming and be a big part of the story. And if they're filming this summer, you're not going to be able to hide that, right? Like, if Dwight's there, people are going to see that. So I think that teasing that right there in a post-credit scene like that, and it would just be so shocking. It would be a big announcement that Dwight is returning. And I think the excitement going into Season 3 would just be absolutely unreal to see those characters interact and what the story could actually be there. And oh man, it's the perfect way to end Dead City, to be honest. Like, Dead City is the show that should really resolve all of the Maggie and Negan stuff, because it is a thing that you can't resolve right away. Like, I think for Maggie to just like get over it makes no sense. That doesn't happen. That's not a human thing. And like, The Walking Dead is really good at character development, and the characters, I think, is what really separates it from The Last of Us, because the characters are so relatable that Maggie just getting over it doesn't make a lot of sense. And so I think that it makes, you know, perfect sense to actually have this story fully told on The Walking Dead Dead City and have it resolved by the Season 4 finale. And we'll see where they go after that. But it would just make it so that, okay, like, this story here, like this 4-season series, like, perfectly told that story properly. And it would just be absolutely incredible to have, because again, you can't just get over something like that for Maggie, right? And so I think for Dwight as well, he went through a lot, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be resolved here. And I think that Dwight's return just makes the most sense here. But overall, though, I think that this could actually happen. Like, it's just a theory, but I do think that that is likely going to be the post-credit scene, is that Dwight shows up. And I don't know if the scene is just him walking around in New York City. It's a very short scene, and we just see that Dwight is there. Like, that could literally be the scene. Like, maybe he's not with New Babylon and he's like with a different community in New York City, so that's why he's there. But I think that it's going to be something like that, because to not have Dwight a part of this series, to me, would be a big failure. To be honest, like, it makes so much sense to have him a part of this story here because of what Dead City is about. And if Dwight doesn't show up at all in Dead City, and literally the whole 4 seasons where you're focusing on the Savior arc, you're focusing on Maggie and Negan, you have the Croat that apparently was a part of that arc and he was literally a made-up character. It works, but like, my point is, you have so many aspects of the Savior arc, and there's still a lot of things that were just not resolved there that I think would be really incredible to actually tell here. Like, Season 3, get into some of the Dwight stuff that'll go into Season 4, and then maybe Season 4 at the very end, you have Rick show up, and then that resolves some of the stuff with Rick and Negan. It doesn't mean that that's going to be their last scenes together, because obviously a reunion or endgame series could bring them together. But this way, when you actually get to that point, you're not focusing on that, right? That's not going to be a big part of that story. You're just going to have Rick and Daryl reuniting, which will be probably the most exciting event. You're not going to have reunions be the point of, you know, the show, right? It'll just be maybe Rick and Daryl reuniting will be the big point. But other than that, Rick has reunited with all the other characters, and some of the stuff between Rick and Negan resolved in The Walking Dead Dead City. I think that that would just be absolutely perfect. And that's why I believe that Dwight at this point, it has to happen. I hope it does happen. But I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.